What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Control the Narrative, a podcast where we control the narrative around misunderstood players, teams, situations, and just whatever else narrative needs to be controlled. We have our first repeat guest on tonight. We have my friend AJ Milack. AJ, how's it going, dude? Appreciate you taking the time out. First off, even though the Lakers are, what are they, 8-1 now, or 9-1, whatever the fuck they are. So I appreciate you, taking some time out from watching highlights of that and hopping on.
Yeah, I think they lost last night. I believe they were 2 nights ago, so they got 2 losses now, I think.
So are they 8-2?
Yeah, it's been going well. NBA season's been going pretty good for me so far.
Yeah, not for me, so.
Yeah.
Why don't you, people kind of already know you're a LeBron fan and shit, but why don't you really tell people from, how you started liking basketball, who was your first favorite player, was it LeBron, and the kind of evolution of your fandom?
Yeah, so LeBron's the reason I really fell in love with basketball, where I actually started to really break down, stats and watch it and things like that. But my first favorite player ever was actually Vince Carter on the Raptors. Obviously as a kid, you're just thinking dunking is sick, and this dude just started flying.
Yeah.
So I remember being at a Dave & Buster's or some form of an arcade really young, and there was a game where he had, I think he went for 50 points, and he had done some between-the-legs dunk or something like that, and I was just like, wow, basketball is sick. And then LeBron James obviously was doing the same type of thing at 16 years old, so I instantly, started following him, and that panned out pretty well. And then that brewed into a full-blown rivalry with Melo.
Did you say 16 you started liking LeBron?
That's when he started being able to fly like Vince Carter, but it wasn't until he went.
I thought you liked him way before that.
No, it was more, I didn't really declare myself a LeBron fan until he was 17-ish, on the cover of Slam and all that stuff. But, it was a good time to pick. A lot of those guys didn't work out. Look at Sebastian Telfair, but... Then our rivalry brewed of Melo LeBron, which made me, hate Melo more so just because I wanted to win that argument. And here we are, and that argument's finally come full circle, and I've won. And it felt good for a couple weeks, but we'll get into it. But not going to lie, it doesn't feel as good as I thought it would anymore. It's kind of getting sad.
All right, so you kind of mentioned the downside, the fall of our rivalry. What are your thoughts, honest thoughts about the Melo situation? I know when you came on, when we had the whole August fight night thing, we went at it with Melo and LeBron for, I think, over an hour. So now seeing what has happened to him and all that shit, what are your thoughts?
My tone has definitely changed since last time we talked. I was still basking in such a dominant victory of our 10-year childhood rivalry even more. But because I couldn't imagine it going this well, that there was no more argument. But I have changed my stance a little bit. Some of the points I made when I came on, and the points that the narrative is about Melo is defense, the mid-range shot, and kind of does he fit in modern NBA. And as I've watched I see more mid-range than I did last
100%.
year. First of all, there's definitely work in the mid-range back into offense. And 100%. Second of all, the one thing that I really realized, and that, I always use as a joke and people used as a joke, last year with LeBron with defense, if you really watch the NBA, there's not more than 5 guys that actually stay in front of a screen or a curl. Yeah. How many guys actually really do stop the ball and don't get the switch? It just doesn't happen. And you see LeBron playing great defense this year because he's motivated, because it's not a lack of athletic ability for these guys. It's just what guys getting $20 million are looking to play hard defense in the first quarter of Game 5 in Sacramento. You don't find many millionaires that are willing to do that. Some guys get paid for it. But my argument being that maybe it's almost the reverse with Melo now, is now his name's been dragged through the mud so much as like a Hall of Fame, no doubt Hall of Fame player. I've never seen anyone, like almost like Antonio Brown's dealing with the same kind of thing right now, just because.
But that shit's different.
I mean, and he did that more to himself than Melo did, but still, like, people, what I mean by that is it's become so fun to make fun of him. People forget, like, who Antonio Brown is. Like, just last year, like, that's one of the best players in the league. So, like, it's the same thing. I think a motivated Melo probably gives you the same amount of defense that 75% of the NBA will give you right now, just because guys are not trying. Like, defenses, there was a game that was, 159, 158 in regulation the other night.
Right. And guess who it was? The Houston Rockets. So
Right. And I mean, I was watching them the other night, too, and, like, they were mentioning on the broadcast as well. James Harden and Russell, like, they were saying how leaders and captains set the tone for showing your team, like, it's important to you to play defense. Those guys have never – they don't stop the ball. Like, when is the last time James Harden stopped the ball or, like, fought through a screen? So, I mean, for them to say that was the reason. And then, like I said, the mid-range game, I see it every night now. Kawhi's doing it. And then
He's been doing it, dude. And you know who he modeled this game after? Yeah,
LeBron's been bringing it back a little bit. And, I mean, you see the bigger guys shooting them. So, my tone has definitely changed a little bit, especially watching some of these guys play basketball out there.
Yeah. So are you Team Melo now?
I'm not Team Melo, but I clearly think that, like, if he's willing to take any form of a reasonable contract and kind of just, it's not even about the money, it's more just clearing his name and kind of like putting some respect on his name. Like, please, I will take him for KCP without a question. So.
All right, so you'll take him over KCP. What are your thoughts or early thoughts on KCP this season? Is he an NBA player? What do you think about his fit on the Lakers?
Like, you send KCP to Fenerbahce, Beko, Istanbul, and you let him play in the EuroLeague, or like you let David Blatt coach him up in like Panos Olympiakos in Greece or something like that, because he's not an NBA player on my team. I mean, if I go back to his numbers, he's playing 21 minutes a game. He's shooting 24% from three, and he's averaging 5.5 points a game. And it's not like he's some elite defender. So if Melo can't give me 5.5 points a game, you're going to have a tough time controlling the narrative because, I mean, give me a break.
So, like, my whole thing with the Lakers is you bring a guy like Melo on the team, or just pretty much any team, but he's a dude who he's not asking to play 40 minutes a night. He's not asking for, $15 million a year. He took a veterans minimum last year. He literally played not that much on the Rockets last year. I don't even think he played 30 minutes a game. So you bring him in off the bench, let him fucking score. You can't really blame defense on a bench player and shit like that unless he finishes his games. And
they also, right now, have the number one defense in the NBA with the two best shot blockers in the NBA at the moment, which, I mean, again, covers up his weaknesses if he does get beat off the ball and you got Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard and help defense. I mean, I think that's his best fit. I didn't really think it was to begin the season because I also didn't think that the Lakers would be playing unbelievable defense like this, and I didn't think Dwight Howard would kind of, look like himself a little bit, but his old self, I should say. But, yeah, I think now for sure his best fit would be in that KCP role. 15. I mean, KCP's getting 21 minutes a game. So you're saying not even 30 minutes, but if KCP can get 21 minutes, I would give Melo 20, 25 minutes because that's who we're relying on to miss 7 out of every 10 threes he takes.
And another thing I feel like is the Lakers really don't have a ton of playmakers outside of LeBron and Anthony Davis. It's a bunch of like spot-up shooters or, defenders like KCP and everyone's favorite Jared Dudley and shit like that. So you think Melo would be a good fit on that team?
I mean, we didn't get Rondo back yet. He's a playmaker. And then Danny Green, I mean, he's just a spot-up shooter, but he is always in the right place at the right time. I think Melo would really, on a team with LeBron and AD, he would take the role of a spot-up shooter. He would have to regardless just because that's where he's going to win. He's going to win mostly, on open threes and things like that. But, I mean, if he could just come – the thing now is, like, the one thing I always questioned with Melo is, like, the James Harden effect, like, effort. Like, just, like, purely like just going off reputation, just going at the same thing that bothered me about LeBron last year was he was not trying on defense. It made me sick. It was impossible to defend him because he was just not trying on defense, and everyone knew it. So, but when you're motivated, when you're not the $25 million guy playing at MSG, when you're the guy who his name's been dragged through the mud, you had to go on first take to defend yourself. There's now Twitter accounts that have to control your narrative for you because it's gotten so out of hand when you were a Hall of Fame player 2 years ago. Those guys don't not try on defense. I don't feel like I have to worry about Melo jogging up the court and taking a bad shot. Like, I feel like he's genuinely got more to prove and more motivated than
100%.
Would be, like fucking whatever his name is. I forgot. I completely blanked on KCP.
Who?
Yeah, I meant KCP, but I completely blanked.
All right, so you just mentioned KCP. So what are your thoughts on him? Like, just early season thoughts on him as a player? Do you think he's an NBA player? Do you think he's just somebody who deserves to be on the team? Or do you think a guy like Melo can come in and actually help the team more than whatever he's doing at this point?
Yeah, I mean, KCP is a really good fit for David Blatt over in the EuroLeague if he's still working there. Maybe in like Istanbul or Greece, but he's not a good fit for the Lakers. I actually do think that. I mean, he's playing 21 minutes a game, averaging 5.5 points and shooting. I believe it's 24% from three. If Melo can't give me 5.5 and 24% from three, that's going to be tough to control the narrative, and it's going to be tough for him to get another job. So I definitely think that Melo can give me 8 points in 20 minutes and play some hard defense and try to restore his name a little bit. So I have no clue what we're doing. I mean, keep in mind, though, the Lakers kept KCP when he was arrested and wasn't allowed to go to away games.
And didn't they re-sign him after that? Or was that...
Yes. They re-signed him again after that because the first time they signed him was when Rob Holinka said it was like Jesus came down and gave him wine. I have no idea what's going on with the Lakers and KCP, but he is so bad. It's incredible. I mean, obviously he beat me one-on-one, so I can't really say he's bad, but he's bad comparative to players I watch play basketball professionally.
Yeah. And another thing is, like, you mentioned something to me before about how players these days don't really play defense. Like, I guess they kind of used to because it's a lot harder and shit like that with touching guys. If you lay a fucking finger on them, it's a flagrant nowadays. So you think a guy like Melo would be motivated and give you anything on that end?
Yeah, I do. I think that, like I was saying, is that a lot of these guys are now making so much money. They're 19, 20, 22 years old. It's game 5 of 82 games. They're on a West Coast road trip. None of those guys are playing defense in the first quarter. There's very few guys. You got your Pat Beverleys, and they're paid to do so. That's what he's paid to show up and do. That's what, a guy like Josh Okogie is in the NBA to do, is literally to play hard defense. So those are the guys you see actually, balls to the wall for 4 quarters. You don't see that there's no one else in the league. LeBron's doing it right now because he wasn't doing it last year. So it's not a matter of you can or can do it. It's just a matter these guys don't, and I don't blame them. It's 82 games. It's 4 quarters. Most of the time you watch an NBA game, these guys don't even start trying until the second half because they just got to hang around, keep it within 5, and then the good teams usually could close out in the 4th quarter. So a lot of times it's just jog. I think Melo, if anything, he just got dragged through the media circle. There's
the fans.
There's people acting like, he wasn't what he was. So I think he'll go out and he'll have a reason to play, especially now that the season's kind of started. It looks like he won't be on a team until maybe like the All-Star break as it is. So if he gets in shape, he's playing, 40 games? I think he will play. I think he'll play comparative to the rest of the NBA. When Melo was a below-average defender, people still played defense. People don't really take pride in defense much anymore. So I think comparative to he could be adequate to average. I mean, he's not any more athletic than he was. His feet aren't any faster than he was. He'll probably still get blown off the ball a lot, but so does Steph Curry's been being disguised on defense for 5 years as everyone talks about how he's the new face of the NBA. He literally hit on defense. If you watch the NBA Finals, they'll put him on the worst player on the Cavs because they were hiding him because he can't stop the ball either. So, and you never hear about Steph Curry's defense.
Then you just set a screen and you get him on the ball anyway, so it doesn't even matter. And
right. There's always a way to expose them if you're a good coach. But
Yeah, and that's what I like with the Knicks right now. Something that people understand is like the Knicks are switching every single pick, so you could literally get Julius Randle on the point guard any single
Whoever you
time. You
want.
just set one screen and it's an automatic switch.
And a lot
So
of teams are doing that now, and it's really
yeah,
just it's a matter of laziness, is what it is. Because if you want to fight through a screen, you gotta. It's the guy getting screened. It's not really.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
they're
it's like the strategy, and even in
well,
like
and that's how you wind up with Nikola Jokic trying to guard, Chris Paul out on the point and winding up on Sports Center, not top 10. It's like
yeah,
these guys
and
can't guard these people. They're not made that way.
and I think everyone's trying to copy that Warriors blueprint when they did it. But when you have Draymond at the five, it's a lot easier to switch on every fucking
You
pick. But
can move with people like that, right?
you have a team like the Knicks. You got Julius Randle at the five, and he's switching out on guys like who broke
Right.
De'Aaron Fox crossed him up, or he broke his ankle the other night. It's like you can't do that. And with Melo, it's like there's always going to be a weakest link unless you're that fucking Warriors team with Draymond at the five, or like the Clippers now with who the fuck's there? I think Zubac or whatever his name is five, but who knows who's gonna be the five when Paul George starts? It might be Harrell, and even him can fucking
It would,
defend the guy.
right.
So
It would probably be Harrell, and he's at least, he's 6'7". He's not a
yeah,
giant.
so like besides teams like that, everybody has a weakest link on the court that anybody can expose. Oh, Melo gets exposed. Yo, everybody like can get exposed besides pretty much the Clippers this year.
I mean that is a lot of now that again, it's a lot easier for me to say this now that I've completely won our battle of
Fuck.
LeBron versus Melo, but like Melo's defense isn't any less bad than 90% of the superstars people root for. I mean,
Right.
James Harden gets cooked, Steph Curry gets cooked. Last year, LeBron was getting cooked. As much as I hate to say it, I mean, other than Kawhi, and the big guys like Anthony Davis, who's a block machine. Like your favorite player gets cooked on defense too. He's not Russell Westbrook, who I always admired for his effort this season so far. Toast,
I saw a
absolute
couple of
toast.
games that, yeah.
So I just don't think anyone really is trying on defense till at least the All-Star break. That's just kind of how I look at it.
All right, so we kind of talked about Melo's fit on the Lakers. If you had to kind of pick a team, I know you're watching a lot of League Pass lately. If there was one team besides the Lakers, or is it the Lakers, that you think Melo fits best on, what do you think it is?
I think that honestly, from the standpoint of now knowing that the Lakers defense is the best in the league with two absolute potent shot blockers, I would say that they're one of the top fits. I also still thought and do think that the Utah Jazz is a good fit because they
The
also have,
Jazz?
yeah, they also have similar defensive prowess, and it looks like they could use some scoring. They haven't really been scoring many points. Um, I also had another interesting one for you. I was going to run past you. What about the Raptors?
I've heard people say that before.
Because I feel like they could use a wing scorer, and now they got Lowry out. They also have Ibaka's banged up, and Pascal Siakam's an emerging star, but he doesn't really hurt you from the perimeter. So I feel like Jude might be a good fit there also.
Yeah, in the summer they signed two, like, they spent some money on wings. I think they signed Stanley Johnson and they signed the guy who used to be on the Nets, Hollis Jefferson. So those were like their
Yeah,
wings, but I don't even know how they're doing this year. I haven't.
I haven't heard Rondé Hollis Jefferson's
Me
name.
neither. That's the whole point. So yeah, that's another option. For me, I still think it's the Clippers. I just think it makes so much sense, dude. They could
Yeah,
like hide him, like you were talking about. Another team is the Heat. And I think if the whole Chris Paul thing happens, I know I've talked about this, but if Chris Paul gets traded in December or January and he goes to Miami like everyone is expecting him to, and Miami trades a couple players for him with draft picks, whatever, that could be a really good fucking spot for Melo. He'll be playing with Chris Paul, Butler, and I feel like they'll have a shot to make some noise in the East.
yeah, and Rookie of the Year, Tyler
You
Hero.
think so?
He's cold. That boy is cold. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Over Nunn and RJ?
Well, that's the problem. They got both of them.
Who?
The Heat.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But like you think he's the
I
rookie
think.
there
I
over
mean,
his
RJ's
teammate?
played. Yeah, RJ's played well so far, but it's Hero. It's Hero and none right now.
All right. So speaking of RJ, we both live in New York. I'm a Knicks fan. So what do you think about the Knicks right now?
Um, I mean, it was an impressive win yesterday. I see that they're getting prepared. How does that leak, though? That's so Knicks that they're getting
What?
prepared to fire the coach.
Yeah.
The GM is internally
The
preparing to fire
president,
the
yeah,
coach,
Steve Mel.
but we all know about it. Like, how do I know about that? It just doesn't make any sense that the Knicks are. That's how bad organizations are run, though. That's why you keep seeing these things like that. The Giants do it, the Jets do it. Us New York fans deal with it with every team from every angle. Reporters find out things that two people in the whole building should know. It's like that you sign Marcus Morris. He's playing great basketball, but you're 2-8, and now Kevin Knox isn't playing because you're too busy playing Marcus Morris. And then Kevin Knox, like you were telling me earlier, is running off 3 screens and barely getting 5 opportunities a game, which is a great way to develop a 21-year-old because you're too busy playing one of the Morris twins so he could have a breakout year and then go get traded. Like,
I mean, it's only a 1-year deal, so he's 100% leaving.
he's
But
gonna. Who's gonna and then like what? You gonna get traded back to the Spurs? Like, what was the point of even like? I just don't understand. Kevin Knox has to play more. Mitchell Robinson has to play more. Like, they signed guys to help out, and they are helping out. Like, Bobby Portis has played really well. Julius Randle's obviously a nice piece, but like it's also
I wouldn't say that about Julius Randle so far.
really.
He is literally probably the worst player on the Knicks this year.
I mean, I meant like as like a 3, and like when you're building like your team out when you
Yeah,
get
I don't
bigger.
know about that.
But I mean, it just feels like what they're doing is counterproductive. Like, they're playing more competitive ball, but they're still 2-8. They're still not a contender, and they're stunning the development of their guys. Except for, I know you're excited about they're finally giving your boy Frank some minutes.
Yeah, free Frank, baby. Frank's freed. By the way, Kevin Knox 7.9 field goals a game, attempts a game.
Attempts a game, like, that's not enough. You want that guy to be a volume shooting wing, and you're
I'm
not
surprised at that, honestly. It feels like he gets like 3 or 4 shots a game because he gets a couple threes off of screens and shit like that, and he'll get like 1 or 2
And
in
I'm sure
transition.
a lot of it's garbage time
Yeah,
down
that probably
18
has a factor
baskets.
in
That
it too.
doesn't really help you anyway when you're trying to
Yeah,
be a.
and he's really struggled defensively. He hasn't really improved from last year, but yeah, you would think at least his offense is something that could keep him on the fucking court, and his shot looks like real good. I think he's shooting like maybe over 40% from 3 this year. But yeah, dude, this is just like everything that's going on. I don't really blame Fizdale 100%, but I definitely think he has something to do with it, and it needs to go because they have no offensive sets. Their defense is atrocious. They switch on everything when they have guys like Julius Randle at the 5, and you can't do that. Bobby Portis at the 5. And, dude, just his rotations are so weird. Like, Frank didn't play for like 2 or 3 games. All of a sudden, he's a starter and, like, balling out.
But what happens if he goes? What is the
Huh?
plan for the rest of the season?
What'd you say?
What's the plan for the rest of the season if Fizdale goes?
Have no fucking idea. They would probably promote
No
Mike Miller,
coach,
who
no
was the.
leadership.
They would probably promote Mike Miller, who was the G League coach last year for the Westchester Knicks. He just got signed to the New York Knicks. But
Mike Miller, as in LeBron Mike Miller?
no, different one. Yeah, I thought the same thing at
I
first
thought
when
he
I
was
heard that name.
because I'm pretty sure he's with Penny Hardaway at Memphis.
Yeah, so I don't really know. My dream would be like Jeff Van Gundy. I know he's wanted the Knicks job in the past. Don't know if that would fucking happen. A lot of
No,
people are
Mark
saying Mark
Jackson.
Jackson.
Yeah.
I do not want that. I feel like the stories I've heard about him from his Warrior days, where he would like, what he like brought Curry to church or some shit to pray for his ankle, and then like made him jump on it, and I don't.
Yeah.
He
I
bugs me out.
mean, to be fair, though, he did put together Curry, Clay, Draymond.
100%.
So, I mean, if he could do that there, I would go to church with him.
We do a little segment here called "Where Were You When." We usually do it about Melo with like a big moment or some shit like that, but we're gonna switch it up for LeBron just for you, AJ. So,
Thank you.
where where were you when LeBron signed with the Heat? Like, what was your expectation? Who were you hoping for, and just kind of your experience with that whole crazy ass night?
Yeah, I was at a friend's house pretty close to the old elementary schools near Hippie Hill. I was definitely hoping he stayed with the Cavs just because I had a Cavs jersey already, and I was cheap and didn't feel like buying a new one. But if he did switch teams, I kind of wanted him to go to the Nets because I was, I'm not really a big Knicks fan, but I do live in New York, so I wanted him to play close. That wasn't going to happen. Obviously, they didn't really have the team. So then once I realized, he's going to the Heat, and he made the announcement, then he came out and was like, I'm winning 7 championships. He's with Wade, he's with Bosh. We're throwing parties and stuff. Literally haven't played a game yet. I already was talking shit to everyone, like, we're going to get 7 rings. Like, so, I mean, that was definitely a fun night and a fun year up until the sweep by the Mavericks. And the door slammed shut pretty quick on that year. But, yeah, I mean, overall it worked out, obviously. Got 2 rings out of it. But, yeah, that night was, I definitely didn't think Heat, like, an hour before that was coming.
Wait, why'd you want the Nets over the Knicks?
I'm just a Knicks hater. I'm a piece of shit.
At least you're honest. Another game we play here is start one, bench one, cut one, where you start a player, you bring a player in off the bench, and then you just straight up cut one, like you can't have them on your team. Again, we usually do Melo. Well, we did Melo one time. We're going to make it LeBron edition for you. So, AJ, if you could start one, bench one, or cut one between these 3 players, Miami LeBron, Cleveland LeBron, and LA LeBron. And with Cleveland LeBron, we're doing both Cleveland LeBron, so it's not one or the other, it's both combined.
Okay. So I'm starting Miami LeBron. I guess I have to bench Cleveland LeBron, which isn't an indictment of any means. It's just that I'd cut Lakers LeBron.
Why?
It's just your sports career goes like this, and now we're going this way.
So you don't think him winning with the Cavs was the peak of his career?
No, I do. Moments, yes, but the peak of his physical prowess as a basketball player is that number 6 in black. That was the baddest man I've ever seen play basketball.
All right. Hey, Melo was supposed to be that 3rd member, right?
I'm glad it didn't happen. Bosh was the glue guy.
Fuck you. Last thing we're going to end it off with is we allow everyone to kind of come on and control the narrative about whatever it is that they want to control the narrative about. We didn't really get this opportunity the last time we had you on, so AJ, if there was anything you wanted to control the narrative about, whether it's LeBron's LA tenure so far, or peanut butter and jelly, or literally whatever the fuck you want, what is something that you think people have misunderstood?
That's a great question. I mean, LeBron's narrative is just one that it's a whole complex psychological evaluation of just literally like, what all the types of things that you hear about, from jealousy to, like making fun of something you secretly like, to maybe they actually do hate this man. Maybe there's racism. And I mean, there's so many ways I could go about the LeBron narrative, but for whatever reason, for as many fans as he has, I mean, he's the most popular athlete, probably one of them in the world. So obviously most people like him, but and now you see it nowadays all the time, but he was kind of the first one where it was really like prominent, where it was like awesome to like hate LeBron. Like I knew for every 3 people that liked LeBron, 10 people were like, oh, you soft, you couldn't play in this era. And so like as this man's dominating the NBA, like doing things we've never seen our age. Like other people may have seen it with Jordan, whatever. I don't even want to talk about that. We've never seen this stuff, and it's literally happening in front of our eyes. And rather than choosing to be like, this is sick, like this guy's alive and we're watching it, at least my friends, like chose to like not only not like it and not absorb it, but actually go the other way. Like here, let me tell you why this isn't good. Like let me tell you why this is bad. As I'm watching this man drop like 60, it's like, yeah, but did you see him kick it in the corner to Ray Allen instead of shoot that layup with 3:18 left in the 3rd quarter when they were only down 12? It's like, I can never win. So like, I mean, I'm sure the LeBron narrative isn't as extreme to like a normal LeBron fan as it is to like what I've dealt with you and like, and just like the psychos we are about like basketball players and stuff. It's like, I'm sure most people don't actually even know what I'm talking about. But for me, at least, like, my group, it's been me battling, defending LeBron for years as, like, in the background, he's going for 60, 10, and 15. and no one cares because they're just looking for him to pass it in the corner so they could come up with a reason to tell me why LeBron's not the best. So his narrative will always be what it is. It'll always be LeBron versus Jordan. I mean, I'll control Jordan's narrative. He played against plumbers, and he could go out and bang lines of coke and bang hookers till 3 a.m. A story came out today about it, and then dropped 65 points.
About Jordan?
Yeah, that he went out with Jeremy Roenick and was out till like 5 in the morning, had like 30 beers, was like gambling all night, went out and dropped 62. And everyone looks at that as like a, oh, Jordan's so good moment. I look at that as like this dude was walking into an AAU gym as a 30-year-old. Like, I mean, give me a break. So, whatever. LeBron can't play in Jordan's era is another narrative that needs to stop. The dude's 6'7", 260, built like a brick shithouse. Not only would he play in Jordan's era, the guy that, you know, you knew as Larry Bird would probably have his head cemented into the hardwood. So, I mean, give me a break. That's it for me, though.
That's all you got?
Yeah, don't let me get started. I'm going to have 60-year-olds in my mentions now.
Word, well, thanks, AJ, for hopping on and, you know, elaborating on the LeBron narrative, the Melo narrative, and all that shit. Always good to talk with you and somebody who knows basketball like that. So, yeah, bro, appreciate the time.
I didn't say this last time, but now that I've at least watched 13 games of basketball, I know that we're being blackballed here, so hashtag free Melo.
Fucking go. We got it out of you. Later, dude.